Ben Shapiro is not able to be with us today due to illness in his family. But Ed, you're going to read. Ed is going to read what Ben has written to share with you today, and I'm going to tell you first a little bit about Ben. He's an international trainer who has presented workshops worldwide, and he's long been devoted to the principles and the practice of bioenergetic analysis, and has had close ties to his mentor, Al Lowen. We in bioenergetics know of his workshops on workshops that helped people to confront their dark side and to claim their vitality more fully. Ben resides in Victoria, British Columbia.
Ben, if you didn't know him, lived in Canada, but he was a leader at Esalen Institute back in the heydays of the 60s and 70s, and that's where he met Al, and then eventually came to New York and was instrumental in influencing Al to start a formal training program. He couldn't be here today because his wife is ill and he had to be at home. So he wrote this short piece for me to read. Today, I want to mention three aspects of Al's personality: his vitality, his availability to you when you needed him, and his strong belief in pleasure instead of power. Regarding his vitality, I first met Al at Esalen Institute in California when I was a resident fellow there from 1967 to 1968. What struck me immediately was that he was a friendly, open, and unaffected person. His personality invited you to contact him. Moreover, he was the same person at the dinner table as he was at the workshop. He was gracious and natural and did not have to hide behind a powerful image to gain your respect. In short, Al seemed healthy and vital, and particularly so compared to many of the other Esalen workshop leaders. Al's vitality seemed to be an embodiment of the vitality of bioenergetics. Both were life-affirming, and both reinforced each other. The renewed enthusiasm people felt for their own life after a session and Al's optimism mirrored each other. Now, regarding his availability. Al was always easily approachable if he felt you were struggling with a therapy issue. At his home, he did not have a phone answering machine. He usually answered the phone if he was not in a session. Overall, I felt I could call him and he would take time to help me. In the 40 years I knew Al, I found this availability as a therapist, teacher, and mentor were very important to me in times of duress. I sensed he was similarly available to others who felt the need for his wisdom and his keen grasp of reality. Now, regarding his interrelationship of pleasure and power. Al held the belief that a person's drive for power was a very poor compensation for their inability to feel pleasure. I first encountered his reluctance to step into a position of power in 1971 in New York, when I attempted to interest him in developing a bioenergetic training program for therapists. Initially, he showed little interest. Only after I enlisted the excitement of others and kept doggedly after him did he finally agree to the idea of a training program. But I felt he acquiesced only because he felt it would challenge him to further develop and teach bioenergetic concepts, to further develop and teach bioenergetic concepts to a much wider group of therapists. Al certainly did not trust organizations, nor did he like the idea of creating a new one wherein he would certainly have to take a leadership position. It was as if in 1971 he could foresee all the power struggles he would have to be engaged in years to come. Later, he openly remarked that the power of supervisors and trainers to grant accreditation to trainees went against the life-affirming principles of bioenergetics. A few years ago, Al summed up his experiences of the training program when he said to me, "Ben, bioenergetics should never have become a school. It should have remained a movement." Of course, I and many other graduates of the training program would disagree with Al's evaluation. However, his sharp warnings about the misuse of power, which was beautifully expressed in his book, Pleasure, are even more relevant today than when the book was published in the 70s. I regret I could not be here today and listen to each of your individual experiences of Al Lowen. Ben Shapiro.